Hey, this is Edward Stevens, realtor at Reese Nichols with the Stevens Group, and I want to give you this little book review, really an audio book review. I just read The 10X Rule by my man, Grant Cardone. He's a sales wizard. The man is a sales wizard, and I'm looking forward to consuming all of the content that he puts out, and there is a lot of it. He's a content king. If you ever see him on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or anywhere, he's out there putting out high quality stuff. And I have followed him for a while, but the guy is a genius when it comes to selling. And because I'm in the business of selling, I really wanted to learn a lot from him. So I started my first book of his series. The first one that I read is The 10X Rule. And I listened to the Audible version of it, the Audible version of the 10X Rule. And in the next probably minute or so, I'm going to just condense everything that he's got in that book down to a couple of ideas. Number one, and these are things that I think are the biggest takeaways. Okay, the number one takeaway is that, and this applies to me especially, when I set goals, I set them too small. The goals that I set, which if you don't set goals for yourself, start by setting goals. So you should have goals and write them down, and you should be thinking about them all the time. I do a couple different things with my goals. I write them. I also keep them on note cards, and I carry them with me. But what he was trying to get across to the readers is that there are problems with setting small goals, because a lot of times when you set a small goal, there's no energy behind that goal. There's no need to get outside of your comfort zone and to grow. And if you set a goal, the 10X goal, you multiply whatever that goal is by 10, whether it's, I want to own a certain amount of real estate, multiply it by 10, or I want to have a certain amount of money, multiply it by 10, or I want to have a certain number of days off per year so that I can spend them with my family, or a certain number of hours per week so I can spend them with my family. Whatever it is, think bigger. And if you do that, he's saying that you'll have the energy to go out and pursue something that would be really incredible once you get it accomplished. And even if you don't get it accomplished, even if you don't hit your 10X goal, maybe you're only 8X or 7.5X, you will have accomplished more than your wildest dreams, right? Because you had the energy behind that giant goal to push you to something that you didn't even think you were capable of, just by adding a zero. And he said that adding a zero is the most powerful number in the world, because you can just tack it on the end of anything, and there you got your 10X. So that was the first thing that I learned from reading the 10X Rule. By the way, great audio book. I downloaded it on audible.com, their little app. I paid for the app, I paid for the book, and it was worth it. It was worth every penny. The other thing, and the last thing that was the huge takeaway from me, and this is kind of a tagline that Grant Cardone says over and over and over again, and I've even started saying it to myself, and I've even dropped it kind of in conversation, is that success is my duty, my obligation, and my responsibility. I thought that was really good. Now, Grant Cardone has a family. I don't have a wife and kids, but I hope to one day. And he looks at success, being successful in the marketplace, having money, making money, and having the options and the ability to provide for his family. That is his obligation to himself, to his family, to his creator. And I think that's really noble. A lot of people think that making money is not noble, and he kind of brings those people back into the fold and says, no, it's your obligation as the breadwinner or as a husband. It's your obligation, it's your responsibility. And when you have kids, it's your responsibility to take care of them, and that's what he's saying. Like, he has kids, it's his responsibility to take care of them to the best extent that he can, whatever his potential is. He said responsibility, so duty, obligation, and responsibility. So I think that's kind of a good catchphrase to just keep saying, self, like an affirmation to oneself, is success is my duty, my obligation, and my responsibility. I even catch myself saying that a couple times. The last thing, I just thought of one more thing, and then I'm going to wrap this video up, is he is driven, in the 10X rule, he talks about this, by what his competition is doing and how he compares to his competition. That's not where he gets his motivation from. It's not about how great the competition is and how he compares to his competition. It's about his potential. He measures everything by his potential, and then he pushes himself to shrink the gap between what his reality is and what his potential is. So he's trying to push himself constantly to get closer and closer and closer to his true potential in life, whether it's as a father or whether it's as a member of his congregation, of his church, or a member of his community, or as a sales professional, or as an employer, or as a mentor, or as a husband, or any of those things. He's trying to push what is possible. That's where he's trying to get closer and closer and closer to what is possible. And so when I start thinking about that gap in my own life of, here's where I'm operating, here's what I'm really operating, and the only competition that I have in life is the competition between me now and what is possible for me. And as long as I'm trying to press that gap and press it and condense it by getting closer and closer to my potential, that's the only motivation that I need to get out there and work 110%. Anyway, if you guys have read the book, I'd be interested to hear what you thought and what your takeaways were. I appreciate it. And maybe I'll do a couple more of these book reviews whenever I read some more Grant Cardone's books or some other good sales books, and maybe we can start communicating back and forth. Thanks a lot for watching.